Alright Marvel fans, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into the mutant mayhem of Marvel Rivals. You know the drill, mutants have always been the heart and soul of the Marvel Universe, and now they're bringing their A-game to shake up Marvel Rivals. Whether you're a longtime fan of the X-Men or just here for the jaw-dropping powers, these mutants are ready to steal the spotlight. From mind-bending crowd control to game-changing power moves, each one has something special to bring to the table. But here's the kicker. Not all mutants are created equal. That's right, some of these powerhouse heroes and villains are absolute legends on the battlefield, while others, well, let's just say they're better off benched. So, if you want to dominate your next match, stick around. We're breaking down every single mutant in the game, talking strengths, weaknesses, and most importantly, who's got the best chance of leading you to victory. It's time to channel your inner Professor X and figure out the perfect mutant lineup. Let's get started. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. Alright, let's talk about Storm. Yep, that's Storm. The queen of weather manipulation, the one who can summon lightning with a flick of her hand. Sounds amazing, right? Well, in Marvel Rivals, she's a bit of a mixed bag. See, Storm is officially labeled a duelist, but she's got this sneaky strategist vibe going on with her team buffs. If only she fully committed to being a strategist, we'd probably be having a very different conversation right now. Instead, she's kinda stuck between two roles, and honestly, that makes her a tough sell. Now don't get me wrong, she's not a total flop. Her ultimate is a spectacle. She turns into this massive tornado that tears through enemies and even terrain like a natural disaster on steroids. It's epic, but here's the kicker. Outside of that ultimate, Storm struggles to pack a punch. And let's not even talk about her movement. She's slow, like painfully slow. And considering she's an aerial-based duelist, you'd think she'd be soaring around the battlefield like a falcon. Nope. Instead, she's more like a floating target, and enemies will shoot her down faster than you can say, Wind Rider. That said, I'm not completely writing her off. If you've got a super coordinated team that can play to her strengths, her movement boosts, her damage buffs, her ultimate, then maybe she can shine. But for most players, she's going to feel like a letdown. You'll spend more time trying to keep her alive than actually dishing out damage, and that's just not the Storm we know and love. Alright, let's dive into the deep end and talk about Namor, Marvel Rivals' very own aquatic tactician. This guy is basically what happens when you mix a turret specialist with a guy who really likes his octopi. Namor's Monstro turrets might not be the most powerful tools in the game, but they're sneaky little distractions. Plop down two of these bad boys, and suddenly your enemies have something else to stress about, especially when you hit them with Wrath of the Seven Seas. That's when these turrets go turbo mode, locking onto your target like they owe them rent. Sure, they won't carry your damage numbers, but when it comes to holding an objective, they're like an extra set of eyes on the field. Now, Namor's not your typical in-your-face duelist. His bread and butter is his trusty trident, which packs a solid punch at range. The key with him? Stay slippery. Think of Namor as that player who hangs around the edge of the fight, poking from afar, ready to bail if things get dicey. But, and here's the kicker, if a flanker gets the jump on him, Namor's about as helpless as, well, a fish out of water. So, if you're playing him, keep one eye on the enemy team's sneaky types because they will come for you. And then there's his ultimate. Look, it's not winning any awards for flashiness. It's like tossing a big water balloon into the fight. If your enemies aren't chilling dead center in the blast radius, they'll just get a little splash damage and walk it off. So yeah, Namor's kit might feel like a mixed bag, but with the right positioning and a bit of finesse, he's more than just a turret dropper. He's the guy who keeps your team afloat, pun fully intended. Alright, let's talk about Wolverine. Everyone's favorite adamantium-clawed berserker, right? Well, here's the kicker. In Marvel Rivals, our scrappy Canadian mutant might not be as sharp as you'd hope. Wolverine is classified as a duelist, and let me tell you, he's a bit of a wild card. His entire playstyle hinges on building up rage. The more rage he accumulates, the faster and harder he hits. Sounds awesome, right? But hold on, he only builds it by dealing and taking damage, so if you're sitting back and waiting for an opening, you're already doing it wrong. The challenge? Closing the gap. Wolverine's base melee damage and range are, well, kind of underwhelming compared to the heavy hitters or range specialists. It's like bringing claws to a laser gunfight. Sure, he can dish it out when he's in the zone, but getting there? That's where the frustration kicks in. Ranged characters will shred you before you've even had a chance to pop your claws, and trust me, that can feel like a losing battle more often than not. Now, don't write him off just yet. In the hands of a player who really knows how to manage positioning and maximize his rage meter, Wolverine can turn into a genuine menace. Once that meter's full, it's Slash City, baby! But here's the thing. With other melee duelists currently in the roster, ones that are a little less high risk and a lot more consistent, it's hard to recommend him right now. So, is he iconic? Absolutely. But in terms of gameplay, Wolverine's still waiting for his big moment to shine. You know who's got one of the most underrated kits in Marvel Rivals? Magic. Yep, the master of the dark arts herself. This teleporting queen doesn't just swing a big ol' soul zord around for fun, she's got a whole bag of tricks up her sleeve that makes her a total game changer. Let's dive into why Magic might just be the teammate you didn't know you needed. First off, that soul sword, absolute beast mode. It's massive, it's magical, and it hits like a truck. Sure, it's not the fastest weapon in the game, you won't be landing rapid hits like Black Panther, but when you can cleave through a whole group of enemies with a single swing, who's complaining? Her sword thrives in crowd control, giving her an edge when she's outnumbered. Plus, it pairs so well with her other abilities that the slower speed feels more like a balancing act than a downside. But here's the real MVP move: stepping discs. These bad boys let Magic teleport short distances, giving her an insane mobility advantage. Whether you're dodging attacks or flanking enemies, those portals are your best friend. And when she steps out of them, oh, it gets spicy. She can either unleash a devastating sword cleave or summon a limbo demon to wreck everything in its path. And the cherry on top? Her team-up ability shares those teleportation powers with Black Panther and Psylock, making them slippery as hell in tight spots. If you're not using Magic, you're missing out. Big time. Alright, let's talk about Magneto, because let's be real, when you're ranking mutants in Marvel Rivals, this guy is an absolute game changer. He's not just flipping metal around, he's flipping the entire meta. And the best part, he's rocking that Vanguard role like it's made for him, because it kinda is. Magneto doesn't just defend, he redefines what it means to protect your team. Here's the deal, his magnetic shield is the stuff of legend. Most shields in the game crumble under pressure, literally. They have health bars. But not Magneto's. His shield is on a cooldown system, which means if you play your cards right, you're basically untouchable against projectiles. It's like saying, bullets, lasers, nah, not today. And for teammates who aren't cozying up next to him, he's got you covered too. Those individual shields he hands out? Genius. The damage gets absorbed and stored as energy in those sleek metal rings on his back, which he then launches as a ranged attack. It's defensive, it's offensive, it's Magneto being Magneto. Oh, and his ultimate? Absolute chaos in the best way. Picture this, you're clearing an objective and BAM! He hurls an iron meteor straight into the fight. It's massive damage, a spectacle to watch, and the perfect way to send enemies packing. Honestly, if you're not considering Magneto for your lineup, what are you even doing? This guy isn't just one of the best mutants in the game. He's a masterclass in team utility and power. Oh, you're in for a treat, because we're about to dive into one of the slickest, most stylish duelists in Marvel Rivals. Yep, I'm talking about Psylock, aka the ultimate ninja queen of stealthy flanks. Trust me, if you haven't tried her out yet, you're seriously missing out. She's not just a duelist. She's a walking, slicing, psionically charged masterclass in how to dismantle an enemy team with finesse. Here's the thing, Psylock isn't a pick-up-and-play kind of character. No, she's like that fancy sword you have to sharpen and wield just right. Her psychic stealth ability? Absolute chef's kiss. You can literally bypass the entire front line and appear like a ghost behind the enemy team, ready to rain havoc with her psionic crossbow. And the best part? Every successful hit reduces her cooldowns, which means the more precise you are, the more often you get to make the enemy cry. But wait, there's more. Psylock isn't just about dishing out damage. Her mobility is off the charts. She can dash into the heat of battle and disappear just as fast, leaving her enemies spinning in confusion. It's almost unfair how versatile she is. Mastering Psylock is a journey, but once you get there, she's practically a highlight reel waiting to happen. If you're serious about climbing the ranks in Marvel Rivals, you owe it to yourself to give her a shot. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the reason your team snags that clutch victory. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.